Next guy, I got a nickname for him. I call him Che. I don't know if any of you remember Che Guevara. Of course, he was a communist, and this Che's not a communist, but it's more about his personality. You know, Che was a guy that Castro just couldn't control. Che wanted to export the revolution everywhere, and Rick's a little bit like that. He gets so enthusiastic about things that every once in a while we have to jerk back on that leash a little bit and say, slow down, Rick. We're not with you. We can't keep up. So if he could, Rick would attend every Tea Party rally, not in the state, in the country, but unfortunately he has to work and he has a family to feed. But he does have a conservative message, and his belief is that our time to act has come. And Rick has a message for you today. I'm not sure what it is, but I'm sure it's going to be given with the same enthusiasm and the humor, which is Rick's special gift. So I give you Rick J. Rose.
Thanks, Kettig. One thing, Dave Bigo, who is our good friend, said that for this afternoon only, he will sell his book for $5 and turn that all over to the Sons and Daughters of Liberty. I appreciate that, David. Oh, he's right back. He's just straight back. Have a Pence table, have a Dave Bigo table, have Clark County Tea Party Patriots. Got Percy Snyder under there. We also got a Murdoch table. I'd like to also thank Christian with Boneyard for catering this great event. And our boys are selling pop underneath that tent. I'd also like to thank our friends Ellie, Greg, Floyd, Larry and Carol Williams, and so many others who have contributed so much of their treasures to this effort, because it isn't cheap. But most importantly, their time and their prayers for this movement. I bring you greetings from Mike Sodrell, who could not be here, as well as State Senator Jim Smith. They really wanted to be here. They really couldn't. Life happens. We'd like to join General Vallely, as well as our television audience, to join Stand Up America, as well as considering donating to the Soldiers Memorial Fund. We titled this afternoon Restoring American Exceptionalism because we want to contrast our efforts with that of our historic leader in the White House and his regime's ongoing efforts in what Shelby Steele has called anti-exceptionalism. Go back to what Rick Berry said earlier, as far as ordinary people doing extraordinary things. I was thinking about, because I'm a really bright guy as far as writing a different definition of American exceptionalism. I think you're all exceptional Americans for being here. But what I keep going back to a 24-year-old man. And Bigo doesn't have a whole thing as far as getting sand in his eyes. I get that when I think about what we got going. But a guy that got shot down out of a B-24 and taken prisoner by the Germans back in 1944, and he was taken to a civilian jail in Vienna, Austria, and tortured, I mean really tortured, by the Gestapo. And then they sent him up to a prison camp up in northern Germany, and the Russians were coming in from the east, and they decided to move him away from the Russians. So they took him on a 600-mile hike, he called it, across northern Germany in the worst winter in 100 years or so, they said. My dad, when he was liberated on May 4th of 1945, he looked up and he said, "Thank God." And he looked at every day after that as gravy. I called him 50 years later in 1995 and said, "Pop, how's it feel to have 50 years of gravy under your belt?" And you could hear the self-satisfaction in his voice. He said, "Pretty good, son." But we were talking, this is during the Clinton years, and in the same conversation he said, and he was, 75 at the time, he said, "You just get tired." And I'm sitting there going, then and there I determined I'm going to pick up that standard. and fight the same totalitarian government that forced him to endure hardships beyond human recognition. And that's why I'm here today. But we, the Tea Party, want to take our country back to that era, that concept, that thought of American exceptionalism. That's why we have the general here and so many patriots. I'm not worthy to be up here to share the same microphone, but I'm gonna keep giving it my best shot. I think that demands we are led by people who are exceptional as well, not the same people that are favored by Barack Hussein Obama. And as Rush says, This brings me to an individual who used to be known as Nixon's favorite mayor, but is now called Obama's favorite Republican, Indiana Senior Senator Richard G. Lugar. Before I go on, I would like to say I completely agree with Richard Murdoch when he said, and I quote, "I ask each of you to join me in offering a sincere and heartfelt round of applause as a tribute to the remarkable career of an honorable public servant, Senator Dick Lugar." Okay, that's the best we got. Now about Obama's favorite establishment Republican. Their friendship indeed goes back to their time in the Senate. Treehugger.com quoted Lugar in 2006, "There is still more work to be done to tilt our energy balance toward alternative fuels. That is why Senator Obama and I will soon introduce a new bill that will promote other means to move these fuels into additional markets and make them widely available. Among many provisions, the Obama-Lugar bill would create an alternative diesel standard comparable to the new renewable fuel standard that I helped put into the 2005 energy bill." Fast forward a tad. When Obama ran for president, he spoke of Lugar during his first and third debates with John McCain. In quote, "If I'm interested in figuring out my foreign policy, I associate myself with my running mate, Joe Biden, or with Dick Lugar." Photos of Lugar appeared in campaign ads that helped Obama win Indiana. What say ye, patriots? Does Obama's favorite establishment Republican stay in the Senate, or should he retire? After Obama took office, Mr. Lugar maintained his support of our historic leader in his many appointments after his immaculation, to the point where former Indiana Congressman Chris Chicola said, after 35 years, Hoosiers can and should call Senator Lugar a good man, but they can't reasonably call him a conservative. Lugar helped confirm Obama's regulatory czar, Cass Sunstein, and Les has talked about him before. Cass believes that animals have rights, but gun owners don't. He voted for Attorney General Eric Holder, who wants to renew the Clinton gun ban, and who has a selective memory as far as the ATF Fast and Furious scandal. Lugar was the lone Republican to vote for Obama's nominee for Deputy Attorney General, James Cole, who believes that terrorists are best dealt with in the courts. The list goes on and on. Lugar has said that, barring something extraordinary, a president should be able to choose top aides, even if they don't agree with the opposing views of the opposition party. He has also said that Congress should not require as many posts even be reviewed by Congress. What say ye, patriots? No. Should he stay or go? No. You gotta play. All right? So, participation. His support for Obama's judicial nominees is even worse. As our friend Scott Fleur of the Hoosier Pundit said, "I'm not against Senator Lugar, but he is an institution of Indiana. However, he's become the enabler of enablers of bad ideas for America." PMSNBC called him Barack Obama's favorite Republican. As he voted for Supreme Court Justices Elena Kagan, he was one of 5 Republicans to do that, as well as Sonia Sotomayor. He was one of the first Republicans to endorse her, and he had previously voted for Clinton's nominee, Ruth Buzzy Ginsburg. I agree with Richard Murdoch. Mr. Lugar voted for the three most liberal justices of the United States Supreme Court. Some justify his actions by saying presidential choices should be honored because elections have consequences. I agree fully, but elections to the United States Senate should have consequences too, or else advising consent simply becomes rubber stamp, and that is not what our founding fathers intended, end quote. Don Johnson, Obama's choice to head the Justice Department's Office of Legal Counsel, was so bad, the liberals couldn't even bring her name to the Senate floor for a vote. Yet Lugar was prepared to vote for this IU law professor who compared pregnancy to slavery. Judge David Hamilton's ruling barred the Indiana House of Representatives from mentioning Jesus in opening prayers. Obama appointed Hamilton to the same court that overturned Hamilton's ruling. Lugar was the only Republican yes vote confirming Hamilton. What say ye, patriots? Resign or retire?